Well, for a number of years now, I've been interested in civic engagement and media, how communication media either improve people's sense of being part of society, civic life, government, politics, and also how communication media can undermine the sense of being involved and engaged. The grant is designed to build better civic participation technologies so that all kinds of public spaces, whether they be community organizations, public service television, government of all sorts and all levels, from the national to the local, can find ways to engage citizens in discussions of issues that are more useful both to the citizen and to the government. And that's been very hard so far. City councils have the chronic problem of having hearings, in fact by law being obligated to have hearings, and a very small number of people show up who make it very hard for the officials to know who is being represented. Most of what we're envisioning at the outset is related to existing public discussion formats that aren't working so well. So for example, one scenario that we've come up with is to have a city council hearing in which there are people in the room just as usual, but at the same time there will be a running online discussion that can be fed in real time into the hearing and kept as a summary of the larger public discussion of that hearing.
So I've known Lance-Bennett for quite a few years. I'm on the faculty advisory board for the Center for Civic Engagement. And I have a PhD student who's been particularly interested in this area, and so we collaborated on putting together an NSF proposal to the National Science Foundation. We're looking at augmenting websites in particular. So in discussion boards and idea submission systems as they currently exist, these are pretty popular, so that we'll give you a couple of specific examples. So in newspapers, there's often a sound-off section after articles where people can post comments, but the comments, at least to my mind, are pretty unsatisfying. There's a lot of flaming and not much deliberation or mutual understanding, and they're just sort of unpleasant to read often. So the way we are hoping to deal with trolling is by first categorizing things and moderation, and furthermore we want to experiment with crowdsourcing, that is allow other citizens to moderate or perhaps have micro-task markets, which means you pay somebody a small amount of money to do these things. What I think is going to be a lot harder is to have the moderation and categorization turned over to government staff, because they're going to be overwhelmed.
My experience, it's actually kind of funny. I first got into politics through the online forums that I had access to, because at the time, just a little bit by way of history, I didn't really know that many people in my real life who liked to talk about politics, and so to be able to do that, I had to go online and meet people and sort of chat with them about that. I was lucky enough to have access to a forum. I definitely anticipate meeting some undergrad coders and research assistants when we get to the position where we actually have content to analyze. One of the things that this project will do is to analyze the output of what people are actually saying, so analyzing their communications, what they've written. And what we want to do is we want to be able to compare what people have written in these socket-enhanced forums to some forums that don't have socket enhancement. So your typical serialized comment structure. One thing that I think we're going to try and do with this project is to try and promote some of that deliberative conversation, because we sort of feel that on the web, the communitarian stuff is pretty well covered. You know, you've got your left blogosphere, you've got your right blogosphere, and they've figured out some real pretty effective ways of pushing our policies and mobilizing their base through those channels. What we've seen less of is effective and constructive cross-ideological debate, and that's a lot of what this project is aimed at.